Welcome to Globeteller. Today we're diving into the chilling story of the Salem Witch Trials, exploring who was accused, why it happened, and what it reveals about society then and now. In the winter of 1692, the small Puritan town of Salem, Massachusetts, was gripped by a storm of paranoia, fear, and religious extremism. Over the next year, more than 200 people were accused of witchcraft, and 20 were executed. The Salem Witch Trials remain one of the most disturbing examples of mass hysteria in American history. But what exactly were the Salem Witch Trials? Why did they happen? And what can they teach us about fear, justice, and society? The Salem Witch Trials were a series of hearings and prosecutions that took place between February 1692 and May 1693 in colonial Massachusetts. But were members of the community really practicing witchcraft? In Puritan New England, witchcraft was considered a capital crime, tied to the biblical commandment, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." The legal system combined English common law, Puritan theology, and local superstitions, creating a perfect storm for injustice. Who was accused? The accused came from all walks of life, but many were women, especially those who were older, poor, widowed, or otherwise seen as outsiders. Some notable victims included Tituba, an enslaved woman from Barbados, was the first to confess under duress. Her confession helped ignite the panic. Sarah Good, a homeless beggar, was hanged in July 1692. Rebecca Nurse, a well-respected elderly woman, was also executed despite strong public support. Even a 4-year-old girl, Dorothy Good, was imprisoned for months after being accused. Men weren't exempt either. Giles Corey, an 81-year-old farmer, was pressed to death with heavy stones after refusing to enter a plea in court. But why were these people accused? Accusations often began with young girls experiencing mysterious fits, hallucinations, or seizures. Physicians, unable to explain these symptoms medically, blamed witchcraft. But there were deeper motives. Personal grudges. Neighbors used the trials to settle old disputes. Inheritance battles. Accusing someone of witchcraft could remove them from a will or allow land to change hands. Religious fervor. The Puritan worldview saw the devil as an active force, and witches were believed to be his earthly agents. In some cases, people were accused simply for not attending church regularly, speaking their mind, or breaking social norms. Why did these trials happen at all? To understand why the Salem Witch Trials happened, we need to look at the broader social context. Colonial New England was a place of religious extremism. The Puritans believed they were building a city upon a hill, but that dream came with strict rules and deep fears of moral failure. Political instability. In the 1680s, Massachusetts had its original charter revoked and replaced with a royal government. That shift shook public trust and created uncertainty. Frontier violence. Attacks by indigenous groups and French forces in nearby territories made many settlers feel constantly under threat. Economic tensions. Salem Village, modern-day Danvers, was largely poor and agricultural, while Salem Town was wealthier and more commercial. Class tensions simmered below the surface. Combine all this with a belief in the supernatural, and it's no surprise that when trouble started, people turned on each other. The court and the spectral evidence. In June 1692, the governor of Massachusetts established a special court, the Court of Oyer and Terminer, meaning to hear and to decide. One of the most disturbing elements of the trials was the use of spectral evidence, a testimony that the spirit or shape of the accused had appeared to the victim in a dream or vision. There was no physical proof required, only the word of a so-called afflicted person. This allowed for almost anyone to be accused and made defense nearly impossible. By the fall of 1692, public opinion began to shift. Prominent ministers, including Increase Mather, father of the influential preacher Cotton Mather, warned against the use of spectral evidence. He famously wrote, "It were better that 10 suspected witches should escape than one innocent person should be condemned." In October 1692, Governor William Phips dissolved the special court. A new court was established, and spectral evidence was no longer allowed. Many of the remaining prisoners were eventually released. The damage, however, was done. In 1697, the Massachusetts General Court declared a day of official fasting and reflection on the tragedy of Salem. In the years that followed, Courts reversed many of the convictions, and families of the victims were offered compensation. But it wasn't until 1957, over 250 years later, that the state of Massachusetts formally apologized for the trials. The Salem Witch Trials were not an isolated event. They were part of a broader pattern of scapegoating, fear, and injustice seen throughout history. From medieval witch hunts in Europe to modern-day moral panics and cancel culture, the Salem story is a reminder of how fear can override reason, and how institutions can fail the innocent when emotion overpowers truth. The Salem Witch Trials lasted only a year, but their legacy has haunted American memory for centuries. In a world still full of fear, division, and misinformation, Salem reminds us that the greatest danger is not from witches but from ourselves. You are watching Globeteller. Please like and subscribe for more videos.